Okay, so welcome to Dream Interpretation Live. From everybody that's joining us, whoever comes in and wherever you're coming from, welcome to Dream Interpretation Live. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow me here at Instagram.com/THE4TH_QTR. Also, you'll do that so that you can not only join future live, but also see replays right here on Instagram on my profile. Also, join me on YouTube.com/THE4THQTR for replays there. We'll be playing live replays of these events, and you'll be able to also go there and enjoy other videos that I have there, prophetic videos. Also, for future lives, you'll want to go to my website to sign up at www.THE4THQTR.com. Go all the way to the bottom. Put your name, with the name you want to be known by, your email, and a 4 to 6 line paragraph, short paragraph of your dream. We want to be able to accommodate as many people as possible, so we ask you to do a short dream for that purpose. And through all those URLs I just gave you, you'll be able to see replays from those locations. And on my website, you'll be able to get everything else that's available to you. So we're going to see if, right at this point, we're going to see if people come on during this time. We're going to discuss Joseph's dreams and the importance of the two different dreams that possibly people can have in one night or in a close proximity to each other that mean the same things. What's the importance of that? So Joseph's dreams consisted of him when he was about 17 years old. He had two dreams. One was of the sun, moon, and stars bowing down to him, and the other was because they were laborers in the field of their father, they were farmers, and the sheaves of wheat, also 11 sheaves of wheat, bowed down to Joseph in a second dream. And so what's the importance of that, and what would that mean? And why is it important for us today? Because if you have dreams, you can chime in on us at any point, Michelle, if you want to say something or you have questions.
Okay.
When we have dreams, sometimes this is one aspect of dreams that God will give people either repeated dreams or different dreams about the same thing. And so, it means, first of all, that the thing is established. Whether it's good or bad, it is established, and it will happen. And usually the events that unfold to make that happen will happen quickly. It doesn't mean that the dream itself will be completely fulfilled in a short period of time. It means, I don't know why this is going off for a second.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Still? But is it lower?
No.
The headphones just powered down for no apparent reason. Let me see. Okay, still just hear me there. Okay. All right. So what this means is that the events to begin to bring those dreams and things that God is doing in a person's life will begin to shortly unfold. But what's hidden from that is that the events between the dream, having the dream, when Joseph had the dream, or when any person has the dream in this way, and the fulfillment, God didn't show Joseph what would happen between the dream he was having and fulfillment of it. So he didn't realize he was going to have to go through all those difficult things he experienced when his brothers tried to put him. They put him in a pit. They discussed killing him, and they were going to tell his father. They made up a lie about him being dead. Okay. The other thing is it doesn't show the timing. So it doesn't show. It didn't show Joseph when the events would take place that he would be put in authority, because these were dreams of authority. at the time he had the dream, he was at home with his family. Again, I said the sun, the moon, and stars represent, the sun represents his father, the moon represented his mother, and 11 stars represented his brothers. So there were 12 sons, and he was the 11th. So he was among the youngest, second from the youngest. So he was not in a place of authority at the time. But this dream was speaking about him being in a place of authority. So it didn't show the time or speaking of the timing when this would take place, but it is talking about being in the place of authority. And it's so much, it affected his father to the point that he thought about it. And he even said to Joseph, should your mother and I and your brothers bow down to you? Because he knew that if this was a dream from God, it wasn't going to be fulfilled now, that would make his parents be subservient to him. So it had to be about something else. All right, so now let's talk about symbolism that goes on in dreams. First, what dreams are visions? Do you have anything to say about it at this point?
No.
No comments? Okay.
No. I'll raise my hand.
Okay. So the scripture says in Numbers 12, the Lord talking to Aaron and Miriam about Moses, because in this place, Miriam and Aaron had challenged the authority of Moses. And God started speaking to Miriam and Aaron about Moses and why they were so bold to speak about him in the way that they were trying to do. And he said, listen, I speak to Moses differently, but to you and to the prophets who I call for me, I reveal myself to them in a vision and I speak to them in dreams. And I don't speak to Moses in dark sayings. Excuse me.
Face to face.
Yeah. So dark sayings means parabolically. He speaks parabolically to the prophets through visions and dreams where there are a lot of symbolism and figurative language. So when we have dreams, a lot of people struggle with this, that they're largely symbolic and they need to be understood symbolically. And they, symbols and scenarios need to be applied to be able to get the message, to make it plain, so the person that is hearing the dream or had the dream can know what to do. And so this vision in Acts 10 about Peter, when he had the vision of he was at Simon the Tanner's house, and he was up there praying. Remember, he was up there praying, and he became hungry. But then, as he became hungry, he fell into a trance. Simultaneous to him praying, and he saw the sheet of animals which were forbidden for Jews to eat come down and rise up 3 times. Here it goes again. Power off. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, there was a beep just now.
Okay, that's my headphones going off for some reason. I don't know why it's doing that.
Are they charged?
They are charged. I charged them before I came up. So when it does that, is it temporarily cutting me off?
No.
Okay.
No. If you see my mouth moving and you can't hear me, most likely it went out.
Okay.
But for right now, you're fine.
Okay, so the sheet went up and down 3 times, and 3 times that occurred, God said, now kill and eat. But because he knew this sheet was full of animals which he as a Jew was forbidden to eat, he said, no, not so, Lord. For these, I'm a Jew, I'm not permitted to eat these particular animals. So the Lord said, what I have cleansed, call not thou common. Don't call what I've cleansed common. Now, if we were to take that literally, those animals, it would just be wild why would God show Peter that sheet with the animals in it? If God knew and Peter knew that as a Jew he was not permitted to eat, what meaning would that be for God to show him this if that's really what God was after, him eating animals, especially because he was hungry? And this was a vision, so there was no real food there at the time. He wasn't going to pluck food out of that sheet in a vision. This wasn't what he was talking about. There were 3 men at the door to seek him, sent from Cornelius. Because remember, earlier in that chapter, Cornelius, who was it? It was an angel sent to Cornelius because he was praying. And he basically said, your alms have come up before the Lord, so I want you to send for Peter, who is called Simon, and he will tell you the way of salvation for you and your household. So then he sent 2 soldiers and a servant of his. So she going up 3 times, coming down 3 times. They were all Gentiles, all 3 of them. So God was saying, not only for the people that I'm sending you to, but for these 3 men who represent those people I'm sending you to, I've cleansed them. Don't call them common. So we came out of that vision and that experience. He was sort of doubting. He wasn't sure that he understood properly what the Lord was saying. So the Spirit said to him, go down with him, doubting nothing. So he ended up going and ministering to Cornelius in his house, and they did receive the Lord. So we're talking about the symbolism that exists in dreams. We talked about Numbers 12, about how God speaks to his prophets and symbolically, but also just in general dreams, symbolically, with a lot of symbolism and scenarios. And what's the other word I'm looking for? Allegory. Not always literal. Now, we do have dreams that are literal, and those usually are only when there's direct instruction in a dream, such as either the Lord himself, or he'll send an emissary, an angel, to say, do this, go here, do that. They're specific to what is being desired. Do this, go here, or do that. What's going on here? Okay. Michelle?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right.
My alarm
It was
kept going off. I had to set it off. Turn it off.
okay. So there are exceptions. For example, when Herod was after Jesus and he was still small, he sent his soldiers to basically kill everyone under 2 years old in the region that Jesus lived. And he was in his parents, specifically Joseph, his father, was directed in a dream to go to Egypt and to remain there until he got word. The angel told him directly to go to Egypt. And he did. He took Jesus and Mary and they went to Egypt and they stayed there. When it was time for them to come out, I think Herod was dead. He had died at that point. And this angel, another angel, came and told to him in a dream to tell them that they can return because those who were seeking Jesus' life was now dead. So those were dreams. Both of them were dreams, but here it goes again. But they were direct and they were specific. So there was nothing really necessary to interpret there. It was just straightforward. So the thing about this that we need to understand is that God doesn't just speak to Christians in dreams. He doesn't just speak to ministers, pastors, evangelists, apostles, prophets, teachers in dreams. He speaks to men in dreams. In Job 33:23 says, if there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one among 1,000 to show to man his uprightness. Because the whole point of dreams is so that God can warn people from something bad happening to them, a catastrophic event. You and I have talked about this many times. So God will speak, and he has put certain ones that he has entrusted to do this, to be in a position to speak to those who have had these dreams, and I just said one among thousands. So there's, in other words, God specifically has it set up so that people will be born in the world in locations that He desires, but those people will then be ambassadors for God, for man, whether you are know the Lord or not. Because case in point, Nebuchadnezzar didn't know the Lord. Cyrus didn't know the Lord. Belshazzar, his son, didn't know the Lord. They didn't. They knew of him because of Daniel and Daniel's relationship. Pharaoh didn't know the Lord, and so Joseph was there, and did not Pharaoh have dreams that Joseph interpreted? Did
Mm-hmm.
not. Yeah, Daniel had. Excuse me. Nebuchadnezzar had dreams that Daniel interpreted. In fact, the one he interpreted, it was after Nebuchadnezzar refused to tell him what the dream was, because he wanted to find out if he was legit or not. He refused to tell him, and he said, if you tell me this dream, if you cannot tell me this dream, your life's going to be like the ones that I just ended up slaying. So they ended up going away praying. The Lord did reveal what the dream was. Under speculation, this is a little rabbit trail. There's speculation that did Nebuchadnezzar forget the dream, and he just knew that he was troubled by the dream, or did he purposely hide the dream from him for the purposes of trying to see if Daniel was legit or not? Because those previous astrologers and Chaldeans and magicians couldn't tell him what the dream was, and he thought, okay, you can't tell me, so then you're not, you're just making things up.
Mm-hmm.
So whether he purposely withheld that information from him, or whether he really just forgot. Personally, I think my personal opinion, as I understand it, is that God took the dream from him. You know how when you have dreams sometimes, you wake up from a dream. I'm sure not all your dreams are like this, but you wake up from a dream, you knew you had a dream, and it troubled you, but you don't remember the dream.
All the time.
You don't remember. It concerned you. Whatever was in it, you woke up concerned. I think that's what happened. But then I can't prove that because it doesn't actually say that. So God will send someone who will be an ambassador for him, in order to tell man, to be able to understand what's happening in a dream, to be able to tell whoever they are, whether they be important people, or like Joseph didn't always tell the meaning of dreams to important people like dignitaries. There was that butler and baker that he was in jail with, people like him, that he asked them because they were depressed. They had been thrown in jail.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't work in the king's court, but they weren't, they, from that standpoint, they may have been somewhat important because they did work for the king, but they were not dignitaries. And he asked them, what's wrong? And they told him, we both had a dream in the same night. And he said, tell me your dream. And he told him the dream, and then he ended up giving the interpretation to both of them. So it's not just for people in important positions, it's whoever God is speaking to. Both of them had a dream, both of them were interpreted, and both of them were doing the Bible inspired, because Joseph was there and to do it. So the reason, again, as I said, now I want to give my example of one of my dreams that I had. The reason is that God wants to save people from having catastrophic events happen to them, and He loves us so much that He's willing to do that. He doesn't, you would think that, well, from God's point of view, if this person has cursed me, if this person has rejected me on every turn, if they have done things that I hate, that God would just let them go. But He doesn't. In fact, He goes a step further than that, because before He even gives a dream, He speaks to them in several other ways that they are not picking up on. That's what it says in Job 33. He speaks in one way or in another, and yet man doesn't perceive it. So He ends up speaking to them in a dream in the vision of the night, where he can then open man's ear and seal his instruction. So that means at that point, most likely they're not going to understand it because it's sealed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sealed because God has given an understanding to someone else who is probably within their region. I'm just going to say that for the lack of a better word. Someone that God will link them up with. Now, so that would be the reason. So my dream, when I had recently, was the one where I, we have. I told you that the experience where we were. Shalaman had discovered that our car door was slightly open. Someone had broken into the car looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
Not broken, the door was locked, but they had gotten into the car and rummaged through it. So I didn't really think, we were concerned about it, but not. I didn't go to bed with that wearing that on my sleeve. We did our diligence. We couldn't do much, and then, I go to bed like we do any other night, and I went to sleep, and I had this dream where I came out outside to our front door. I wasn't looking for it. It was just, I just happened to see that these men were in the car. Now, it's kind of strange because this wouldn't happen in real life, what I'm about to say now. Came to the front door, not looking for anything, not expecting anything. Opened the door, saw the two men were in the car. The car was still parked where it is currently. But in the dream, it then moved supernaturally. I didn't see how. It moved from its parked location to across the street and facing up. Our street is one way. It's facing the opposite direction, with the men still in the car rummaging through it. So I get out. I go outside. I go across the street, make a beeline across the street, confront these men, and get, I'm making the move to get them out of the car. While I'm doing that, they're behaving like, they're the live icon move. That's why I'm doing that. They were behaving like they weren't doing anything wrong. Like they were, what are you doing? No, what are you doing? Getting them out of the car. They were behaving like nothing was wrong, nothing was going on. And I eventually get them out. But one of them was bigger than the other, or you could say the other one was shorter than the other. So I eventually got them out of the car, and that was that. But what I took away from the stream was that vehicles are often, in dreams, they mean the how we're getting to our next destination and proximity to the purposes of God for our lives. So cars we use to get us to point A, point B, for whatever agenda we have in our day. But dreams often are represented in cars or by cars in general, and vehicles that tell us how we're getting from one destination to the other as it pertains to the will of God for our lives. Now, it's a smart car, so it means there's intelligence needed, there's recognition needed, there's reflection needed. So in other words, there's consideration to since I'm the dreamer, what am I supposed to be doing? First, it's only for two people. Okay? Then, the car is made so that you can only fit the necessary items if you're going to. It doesn't house unnecessary space.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have a full back seat that no one's ever going to sit in. It's just that little space in the trunk. So it's made for just necessary. It's a minimalist car. So you're not carrying a lot of baggage with you. It does have some technology. It has manual drive and automatic drive. So
Yeah, it's a dual transmission vehicle.
Yes. So basically, what this is saying is that I have recently apprehended what the enemy tried to do to steal the purposes of God for my life. and have me going in the opposite direction. I've recently, got a hold of that and brought it back into an alignment, which is what I'm doing now. And I needed to be able to. Now, here's the other part. The car isn't, even though it was broken into, it wasn't. They weren't going to be able to take it anymore because the battery was dead, right? So where's the battery? It has to do with charge. In order to have power, it needs to be charged to give the car power to move. So I needed to take charge of, and I don't really say this, I mean, God has given us authority. I needed to take charge for the ministry God has given me to get it to go in the right direction. God wasn't going to do it for me. It's something I had to do. I needed to take charge because I'm the one that will power it with God's anointing, God's power, the tools that God has given me, the ability. And it'll go as far as I'm willing to go with God in alignment with Him. I have the spiritual tools for it. The economy of God, the help of God, and all those things that go along with it. So that's an example of a dream where God is preventing a possible catastrophic event to take place by giving me this dream, as He will give anybody a dream in order to get them on the right track for their personal lives, for their businesses and for their family. You have anything to say about any of this?
No, I think you're very on point with all of that. I'm enjoying hearing how you're breaking down the elements of the dream and how it applies to you. It's helping to show anyone else who's going to watch this that it's a first person thing first and foremost when it comes to the dream. It's not always about somebody else, and that's something that we tend to want to do because we don't want to accept or acknowledge or take accountability of what God might be trying to fix. You see what I'm saying? It's like there's nothing wrong with me. God's not trying really to talk to me because I'm okay. This is for somebody else, kind of thing.
And the number one thing to take away from this is that God speaks to man. And I want anybody to know who will possibly see this later, that God speaks to man. He speaks to everybody, men, women, and children. Age is not a thing. Gender is not a thing. If you are a person, if you live in this world, God has probably already spoken to you. You have just not perceived it. You have not been aware. And it's not just through a dream. As I said earlier, God will try to speak in a variety of ways, in one way or another, but sometimes these people, for whatever reason, we don't get it, or we just don't think that God will speak that way. And I'm talking not just people who are so-called religious, but people have this preconceived idea about God and how He does things. Or maybe they don't even consider He does anything. But whatever it is, even if they don't think there is a God, if there was a God, He wouldn't do this, He wouldn't do that. He would do it this way or that way. But we can't figure God out. I just know this, that if you are a human being in this world, He has spoken to you already. You just have not perceived it and not considered it. Surely I will tell you, God is speaking. He's speaking a lot, and He's speaking in a variety of ways. If you have not heard Him in another way, He has spoken to you in a dream, or He will speak to you in a dream, or some other way. Consider that the Lord is speaking, and He does care about you, because He wouldn't warn you about something if He didn't care about you. Any human being. So that concludes today of what Dream Live Interpretation, Dream Interpretation Live. If you haven't followed me already, follow me on Instagram.com/THE period number 4 TH period QTR. Go to YouTube.com/THE number 4 TH QTR to get live replays of this particular video and future lives, as well as all other prophetic videos that I put out there. Go to my website at www.the4thqtr.com. Sign up with your name. As you scroll all the way down to the bottom, sign up with your name, your email, or the name that you want to be known by, with a 4 to 6 line paragraph of your dream. So you can come here and have it read and interpreted live, and I'll enjoy some of the other things that I have served up on that on that website, as well as replays. So hopefully we'll see somebody, and somebody else will see this video and enjoy it. See you later.